All right, this is the MMA live chat on ESPN.com for today, Wednesday, um, December 16th. It began at 1 p.m. and already in progress. I will join you. Here we go. Uh, let's look at the questions that have been asked to analyst Jon Anik, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on them. Okay, let's get to some questions. First question. Well, Dana White has stated UFC 108 will stay at pay-per-view status. Is that a wise decision? After all that has happened in the injury department. John says UFC 108 pales when compared to last year's end show, UFC 92, which had 3 main events. But as I begin my preparations, I think the card has more to offer than I originally thought. MMA Live will be in Las Vegas and will do 4 shows for UFC 108. So UFC 108 is looking to be pretty big. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to UFC 108. Rashad Evans, Thiago Silva. I'm just going to say that the 205 division is my favorite division, and Rashad is one of the best fighters there, especially with all the hype surrounding him and Rampage. It's going to be interesting. And then you've got Thiago Silva, who has only 1 loss, and that's to Lyoto Machida. So there's a lot of interest there for me. Next, we go to JRD from Philly. He says, long time since I've had a question posted on the chat. If I come up with a new scoring system for MMA, who do you think I should send it to? All right, so John goes on to say, you should send it to one of the UFC VIPs or Keith Kaiser, Nevada State Athletic Commissioner. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, good luck. All right. Next question is, well, we'll skip this one. Were you surprised at how badly Penn worked Sanchez? Diego was sure timid after that first round. John says Diego felt Penn's power in the fight's first minute, and Sanchez was tentative thereafter. I just thought there was a huge discrepancy in athleticism. Sanchez is as mentally tough as it gets, and perhaps no one works harder, but his skills just aren't close to Penn's. All that said, I expected a closer fight. I think we continue to underrate BJ Penn. Yeah, I agree. Well, now people pretty much got the idea that BJ is for real. I don't think there'll be much underestimating him anymore. Diego, he just doesn't have the experience and he hasn't developed his skills enough to match up well with somebody like BJ Penn. But Diego definitely has all the right tools, and he should be really good in the future as long as he learns new techniques and strategies. So, okay, next question. Hey, John, I missed all the Hendo chat last week, but one thing I think has been missed during the whole saga is the fact that Franklin Henderson was officially announced for UFC 103. Although Hendo obviously didn't have a contract, so was Dana just BSing when he said he changed that match due to poor public reaction? John says, all I can tell you is that Hendo had verbally agreed to the fight but hadn't signed a contract. But now we know that Dan Henderson has signed on with Strikeforce, so that's all history, and look forward to Dan Henderson fighting Jake Shields for the title, or maybe even Gegard Mousasi. Should be very interesting fights. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Strikeforce does with Henderson. But coming up in April, they announced that the next CBS Saturday Night Fights will have both Fedor and Henderson fighting. So that should be extremely exciting. Okay, Dan in Chicago says, can we end this debate? Penn would destroy Shinya Aoki. John says, no doubt about it. All right, so apparently Shinya Aoki is a bit overrated. All right. With Brock sidelined for who knows how long, what do you think should be done with the heavyweight belt? Well, now we know that Frank Mir and Shane Carwin have been scheduled to fight each other for UFC 111 on March 27th in New Jersey. So that will be for the interim belt, which should be really interesting fight, a really good fight. I'm totally looking forward to it. And, this is what I've wanted to see ever since Brock Lesnar was out of the picture. Ever since Brock Lesnar got sick, I said they should have a match between, two guys like Velasquez and Carwin to determine the interim champion. But I was on the back of my head, I was always thinking, Mir really is still the top guy. He hasn't really been defeated by anyone other than Brock. But, what could he do? Brock's strategy was perfect, really. So, I never took any credit away from Frank Mir. All right, and I hope Mir actually goes on and wins that fight against Carwin. But we shall see. All right. What's next for Penn? I don't think he can beat GSP, but there doesn't seem to be another lightweight that can hang with him. I pretty much agree right now. There's nobody that can take on GSP. Not GSP, but BJ Penn. Gray Maynard is undefeated. He's coming up with a fight against Nate Diaz at UFC Fight Night. And if Gray Maynard wins that, he'll probably go on to get a title shot at some point. That is if he can avoid injury. But just because Gray Maynard is undefeated, he's got good wrestling skills, but he doesn't match up all that well against Penn. Penn is still superior, and I don't know if it would be that great of a fight. Penn would probably just destroy him. But I hate to take away credit from Gray Maynard. He's a good fighter. So who knows? But I think the best bet for Penn, if he wants to prove himself as one of the best fighters in the world, he needs to go up to 170 and start knocking off some of those welterweights. We'll see what happens. All right. Next question. Carwin Mir, what are your initial thoughts? Jon Anik says, first off, I would say that I wish the Mir-Congo fight went a little longer. Thrilled for Frank, don't get me wrong, but I was excited to see them go at it, and felt a little bit deprived that it only went about a minute. As for Mir Carwin, I like Frank. Shane has been battling some injuries, and I'm not sure he has the edge over Mir in very many areas. Yeah, I pretty much agree, except for that I was surprised and impressed that Frank Mir beat Czech Congo so quickly. A longer fight would have been more entertaining, but I pretty much knew that Frank Mir was going to beat him. It was just, how quickly would it get done? Mir. I'm glad he made a statement like that, because I wanted Mir to be back in the title picture. And now that he is, I'm just so thankful for it. So that's good news. All right, one more question. John, for the first time in MMA, are we going to see a champion shift in the UFC? By that, I mean BJ to 170 and GSP to 185. That makes room for Aldo to move up to 155 as he fills out his body. All this talk about Jose Aldo, man, the guy is in the WEC. He's not even in the UFC anymore. I haven't heard any rumors that he's going to cross over. He'd have to go up and wait. I haven't heard him talking about that. Aldo, he won the championship, but it was controversial because he kept hitting the guy in the back of the head and they didn't stop the fight. Aldo going up against BJ Penn, I'm not really excited about that. GSP moving up to 185. It's further down the road than you think. GSP still got some opponents to knock out, or to cross off the list. I think he's got to silence. Of course, he's got to beat Dan Hardy, but he's got to silence Koscheck again, or Paulo Thiago, and then Paul Daly's right there coming up in the ranks. So GSP's got some work to do. BJ, I say go ahead and go for 170 pounds. I think he's ready for it. And that's where he needs to prove himself. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and please send me your comments. Thank you.